Dungeon Master's Diary, Entry 4. The party has made their way deeper into the second floor of Aen'Banshier in search of the Caretaker. They have managed to successfully clear all of the floor, unveiling some pricey treasures, alongside some valuable magic items. As they venture through, they encounter a secret room, a small 10-foot by 5-foot room. To the sides of it, two statues stand. At the center of the room lies a chest. The NPC barbarian, Tank, decides to collect this chest, as Sir Lorcan of Aegon is indisposed to unlock it and check it for traps. Tank picks it up, and below it is strapped a chain which pulls and triggers the door to close, sealing him off inside, and thus awaken the two dormant Death Knights sitting at either side. Initiative is rolled. Combat begins. The two Death Knights roll high and go first, chunking this zealot barbarian, whilst the party are using the Artificer's main form of siege destruction via powerful acid vials to break through the wall. Firing from the crossbow Misery with rapid fire, with alchemical acid bolts, it does not penetrate the full way through the door, despite dealing over 500 points of damage. It left only a foot, giving the Death Knights another opportunity to wail on the barbarian. Tank tried to fight back, swinging in a blood rage, and only could hit once every turn. Eventually, the party broke through with the aid of Daron the Artificer, and managed to take down the Death Knights, at a cost that Tank fell to his death in the process, revived shortly after at no expense due to his blessing by the gods. They pull the chest out of the room, unlock it, and inside, a pile of coins. But they're not really coins. They are a mold or a carving of coins painted with luster, as they are fake, worth nothing. And below it are a few lead bricks to give the illusion that the chest was full of gold. Several of these trick encounters, or trick items, were found across the dungeon. A stone book, believed to be that of a manual for stone golems, a blank canvas, cast over with slight magic by Nistul's magic aura. This is the case for a few rooms, where some stones spiraled on the floor gave off powerful magical energies, to be identified only as fake. This floor of the dungeon, despite its lack of dangerous encounters, had its fair share of deadly traps and tricks. The party encountered the storage room, a large space filled to the walls with large crates, leaving a 5-foot wide path snaking its way to the opposing door. Inside they found an ebony box, gilded with gold, and the Artificer, being intuitive, noticing no seams or locks on this box, traced his hand over the gilding. It unlocked with a click, and he jumps, dropping the box as it cracks open. It appears it was designed to frighten him. And truly so, for this place has its fair share of deadly traps that can kill in an instant. But they continue, uncovering few other rooms of particular interest. A room filled to the brim with flesh golem parts dangling off of meat hooks that are chained to the ceiling, and at the table at the back, rotting and decayed, are bloodied notes. The party do not take interest in this room entirely and decide to leave in case Caretaker comes. By the end, the party make their way to the Caretaker's quarters. Inside, they find a simple dwelling. A desk, well worn and chipped. A bed, glimmering with illusion magic, and a chest, protected by abjuration magic. Daron and Toma, both having true sight, see through the bed and notice that it covers piles of body parts that the Caretaker appears to use for replacing damaged pieces of itself. Inside the chest, once unlocked, they uncovered a book made of human skin, a manual for flesh golems, which they promptly incinerated. In doing so, they had summoned and alerted the Caretaker, who was busy wandering the halls on the floor below. The Caretaker appeared to just emerge from the incinerator room's floor, scythe in hand, and more humanoid in figure than they might imagine. However, its body is concealed by a long, ragged cloak, potentially disguising horrors that lie beneath. So, now to move on to my little rambling stage of this Dungeon Master's Diary. That was a wild session. The party was significantly reduced due to 2 players being unavailable at the time. So it was 2 players, the Ranger and the Artificer. So David and Daron, alongside Tank, Toma, and Sir Lorcan as NPCs. I feel as though I shouldn't have run the session, however, it was solely based to progress them through the dungeon, as this dungeon has been taking a significant amount of time just to get through this part. Luckily, on my part and the player's part, the next 2 floors are significantly smaller. Not by much, but they are smaller and easier to get through. But the traps get scarier, there are more trick traps, there are more trick chests. The enemies that are there, albeit there are more of them. Not as powerful as, say, the Caretaker or the Dracolich that they fought, or the Angel of Cuse, or things like that. It'll be a lot of other creatures that I have had to bump up in health solely because there's one primary factor in their party comp at the moment, which is Sir Lorcan, the main stay factor, because Sir Lorcan can output about 700 damage in a turn on a good roll. And that scares me to a point where I'm thinking, I will never let Sir Lorcan go into a dungeon ever. Ever. After this. This dungeon is meant to be scary. And hard. But nope, they have just decided, no, we're gonna just keep him along, then go train with him after this dungeon's done. It's fine by me. As for Toma and Tank, they got a little bit of moment to shine in the smaller session that we had. I say smaller, it lasted just as long as our standard sessions. However, Tank had a very fun opportunity just for a bit of levity, a bit of humor. He appears to just be this almost wholesome core that is almost naive and dad-like, with dumb jokes and humor and just quick quips at the situation. The main thing that Tank did that session was suffer the consequences of eating so much within an hour, and desperately needed to relieve himself. Now, the party had basically moved from a sort of altar, in the description that I wrote for it, I just named it the Altar of Evil. It is a stone sort of pedestal with depictions of the 4 dreadlords with skulls on the side, and a small stone bowl resting in the center with a small plug hole at the base. Around it were petrified dwarves reaching out to it and pained expressions on their faces. On the wall it said the silver is cursed. So, Tank, being the studious man that he is quite intelligent. I'll give him that. He can speak several languages, albeit he can't read or write in those languages. He can barely read or write at all due to some mental drawbacks, but that is fine. Decided, hey, I might just take a dump in this altar of evil, and we just made a joke about the party having to take this 6'4" human that is petrified, poop still dangling out of his ass, fully petrified, to his dwarf girlfriend back at home base. And I laughed so hard I started crying. Eventually they decided, you know what, there's an incinerator room for a reason. We're just going to send Tank that way. He did, came back, toasty buns, happy days. That was the funniest part of that session. I feel I have not laughed that hard in this campaign in a while. And it was a nice little reprieve. Not get too personal. I haven't had the greatest week, just solely due to the current situation of the world. Not being able to communicate fully with family members, etc. It does take a toll. But I think just having that one session just brought that little levity that I needed just to get through the day, and I was all the more better for it. But now I feel like I'm at the stage where I think this dungeon will be worthwhile. The party will leave with a nice, generous bump to XP. Not as much as they're probably expecting, but enough to justify it. As much as the party would like to, grind their way through, get as much XP as possible, and then just burst through Greyforge, break down those giant doors, and just be like, hey, we're here. It's not going to happen. And I know you guys watch these because you prefer to hear my ramblings and how I think about the current sessions. Let me just say, you're not getting such a big level boost. It will not take you to the levels you're hoping. It will boost you enough that you're eligible and safe to enter Greyforge without the first floor killing you immediately. Because it's dangerous in Greyforge. This place has traps that go up to 30d10. Add on an extra 20 on one of those traps for Greyforge, and there you go. So, other people that are watching this probably think I'm insane. A masochist? A sadist? Probably, but it is in line with the situation they're in and the way that the party is built. I'm kind of glad that next campaign will be a little bit different. Well, I'll say a little bit different, completely different. A nice change of pace, in my view. Not too long, really, to go before that starts. It just needs to see how soon the party can get through Greyforge, and I'm really excited for that. Greyforge is literally, you go from point A, down 4 floors, hit the 5th floor, something's there, and then you can move on to something else, which is hard to explain. It sort of, don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say it, but there's a lot of puzzles in the way, is the best way I could describe it. And not conventional slide bits about, more like you have to figure this out solely on the basis that you understand direction. And that's it. On top of that, moving back to the session, the party finding so much treasure, courtesy of one of the Dreadlord's children called Vidar. They did find the names of the children of the Dreadlord and the lioness Aglica. And if I'm not mistaken, there was Vidar and what was the other name? It was Vidar, Cassara, Astrea. You would think that I would have my notes open for this sort of situation. I don't. But yeah, it's like I said, Vidar, Cassara, Astrea, Electra, Zathrin, and Nesrin. However you pronounce it, even I do not know. Sometimes I make my characters very elaborately named. It should be good. Bonus as well. David has found 2 of his curiosities, which for players or people that just sort of encounter this video, curiosities are basically a tailored magic item for that character. It is designed in a way that allows them to be a lot more combat effective. It gives them more defenses. It can give them resistances, new abilities, things like that. The Fey Warding equipment, I had to playtest in such a way that I had to pull back a lot of the original abilities. One of it is called Harmony, which the more of the Fey Warden equipment that David attunes to, the better off the stuff gets. So, say the armor, it's already a +3 set of studded leather. Gets a +1 on top of that, so it becomes +4. And then for every other piece, which is 3, well, it goes up to a maximum of +6. That's as far as the armor goes. No equipment goes to +7. But it goes just right up to +6, and he gets like new skills. He can have expertise in animal handling and nature, things like that, and it's really good stuff. I just hope that they find the other pieces in this dungeon. They also uncovered the Fey family tree or bloodline tree, carved into one of the rooms. What is annoying about that room, when I wrote it, it was primarily just designed as a lore piece. And just as an insurance call, I moved a device, a secret wall, from another room elsewhere, and added a little bit more treasure to it. It was originally meant to be a dud trap, which was a greater mimic, so a lot harder to fight and a lot harder to detect, because it is a true. It comes in one form and one form only, so True Sight cannot detect it as a shapeshifter, which is unfortunate. So I changed that. I got rid of it. It's like, okay, Vidar just left you one last thing, and that was it. But it had a trap inside of it, just in case someone else found it. Then, in terms of like the ebony chest with the gold sort of lattice or filigree around it, that was originally a trapped box as well. I was like, okay, this is going to be a dangerous trap. It's going to just instantly just disintegrate. 9th level. Ain't no coming back from it. And I thought, you know what? I've pranked these guys with this dungeon with dud traps and dud items a couple of times, and there's been some real traps as well. So, here's the query. How do I instill that fear into the players? So, Daron gets, activates it, and he hears a click, and I go, make a dex save, and he makes the dex save, and he just drops it, jumps back, takes cover, and the box opens, and nothing happens. And I was happy enough with that. The things you do on the fly or change in an instant. I did it solely because I want to instill that level of fear. But the party always have this system of mage handing the door. Is it locked? Okay. Is it detect magic on it? Okay, that's fine. Get Sir Lorcan to investigate and disarm the trap and disarm the lock. Click open. Send the familiar through. See what's beyond. I've killed I say killed. I have eliminated 4 familiars in this dungeon so far. Now I'm aiming to eliminate the others as well, and give no respite between, so there will be no chance for those familiars to return. The fate of one of those familiars, which was a mechanical bird called Mercury, I have not revealed what happened to Mercury. It might be a little bit more interesting than what you would expect. But what you should probably try and understand about this dungeon is that the Corpse King, Cyril Alien, the Dreadlord, likes to toy with his prey, will torment through just paranoia and anxiety, just slowly just whittling down the players, and then just bah! In comes this pig trap that will just wipe someone in an instant. It doesn't care if you've got 500 HP. It could be an instant kill trap and it will do nothing. You won't beat it. And some of them won't even allow you to revivify because there'll be nothing left to keep. All I'm hoping is the fight against the Dreadlord and the Caretaker, for that matter, which will be, as I am recording this today, within 12 hours. I'm just hoping that the Caretaker holds out enough to take out Sir Lorcan. Because the Caretaker may be a golem, but it's smarter than most. And it will take him out first. Lorcan is a bigger threat than Daron and Dochern and Henra combined. So, yeah. Lorcan might go down. Good. It might even the playing fields a little bit. But yeah, that is the end of my Dungeon Master's Diary. Bit of ramble. Kind of sometimes doesn't make sense. Mostly just my train of thought and just a quick description what happened. But as always, stay safe out there, adventurers.